Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with J-JK47, and Big Easy.
Yep.
Got a full house, little cramped, smelling like dudes in here. It's getting gross.
Smelling like statistics.
What do we got on our palette today, Dash?
Well, this is our extra basis segment, and we're going to talk about how the Cardinals keep winning.
Because they're better than everybody else.
Maybe, yeah. Right now they are.
Well,
I mean,
that's what the record says.
Yes, the record says it right now. But you say the Bucks are the worst team in baseball, and they're sitting at 79.
Well, I say that just to make you mad. I don't honestly think they're the worst team in baseball.
But look, you got the Cards sitting at 86 and 47. The Bucks are behind them at 79 and 53, 6.5 games out, and then the Cubs are at 75 and 57, 10.5 games behind the Cardinals.
If we wouldn't have lost 3 games to the freaking Brewers, we wouldn't be 6.5 back.
Well, it's nothing new. We couldn't win against the division the entire season.
All right, let's stick to the Cardinals, though. Let's not talk Pirates here the whole time. We can talk Pirates on a Pirates segment. But let's look at the Cardinals. They're 30 and 14 since the All-Star break. They haven't lost more than 2 games in a row since losing the final 3 games before the break to Pittsburgh, when Pittsburgh took 3 out of 4 from them. And the Cardinals are 9 and 2 in their last 11 games.
I kept telling you injuries weren't going to catch up. You didn't believe me.
Well, right now, I mean, I don't see how they're doing it with their offense. Look, man, they're 8th in the NL in runs scored.
Timely hitting.
543. You could say timely hitting. They're not scoring a lot of runs either. It's mostly pitching what they're doing. They're not one of the better hitting teams in baseball. Look, they lost Matt Adams earlier in the season. He only got through 144 at-bats before going on a DL with a quad injury. He hasn't played since May 26th. They had Mark Reynolds fill in for him until the deadline, and Mark Reynolds wasn't playing very well at all, hitting .238 with a .315 on base, although he did have 12 home runs and 340 at-bats, and that's what you're looking for out of him. He's just a power bat, and I mean, that's not even great power right there. And then they brought in Brandon Moss at the deadline, and really, he hasn't been anything great either. Although he has picked it up a little bit recently. He's getting on base more, hitting .264 with a .376 on base and 4 jacks and 72 at-bats. So really, I mean, they don't have much at first base. Brandon Moss is not a great player. They lost Matt Holliday, too. He only got 207 at-bats this season. He spent 2 stints on the DL with a quad injury, and he is still looking to come back, but I mean, it's possible he doesn't come back, and really, he was their best hitter. Now, they called up Randall Grichuk. We talked about him a couple times this season, actually. He's the guy that got drafted right after Mike Trout got drafted, both picks by the Angels, and then he finally came over to the St. Louis Cardinals system. But in the minor leagues, this guy didn't look like a great player. He looked like he was going to be decent, but I mean, he came up and he was one of their better hitters while he was healthy, hitting .284 with a .333 on base and 15 home runs, although he doesn't walk very much and he strikes out way too much, 97 Ks and 289 at-bats. But look, he went to the DL with an elbow injury. He's working his way back still. And they had a prospect I like in Stephen Piscotty. They called him up, and he's actually playing very well in 144 bats. He's hitting .340 with 4 jacks. This is a good player. But, I mean, they also lost John Jay. He had 166 at-bats before going down. He hasn't played since June 30th. They called up Tommy Pham, who is pretty much a career minor league hitter. And in the bigs, I mean, he's not doing much in 94 bats. He has a jack hitting .245, although his on base isn't too bad at .343. I mean, there isn't much on this offense. And let's not forget, they lost Oscar Taveras during the offseason, obviously, when he got killed in what country was it? Do you remember?
The Dominican?
Maybe Puerto Rico.
Venezuela.
There you go. One of those countries.
I know it wasn't Venezuela.
And what they did, they traded one of their top pitching prospects. I guess he wasn't a prospect at this point because he did pitch for them last season. And he was not very good, actually. People thought he was going to be a lot better. And I'm talking about Shelby Miller. They traded him to the Braves, and he's actually having a great season.
So, I don't even want this dude.
But what they did was brought in Jason Hayward for him, and he's one of the better outfielders. I think I had him ranked as the second, third, fourth maybe best right fielder.
Yeah, going back to that, they make solid moves.
Yeah,
they bring
solid
in.
moves.
They bring in. They don't bring in a bum veteran to fill spots.
Josh Snyder.
Corey Hart.
Dude, we were talking about Brandon Moss before the deadline, and you wanted nothing to do with him. Now they bring him in, and it's all good,
No,
right?
you're right. I don't like Brandon Moss. Is exactly what I was talking about. That's
Exactly.
a bum dude at the end.
Mark
But
Reynolds
that's
is
the
the
only
same
one.
guy.
Okay, well, bringing in Hayward. Why couldn't we brought in Hayward?
Because we
have
had Gregory
Polanco.
Polanco.
Yeah, I
and
guess.
Marte and McCutcheon.
We'll put Polanco
Right.
first, like everybody else on the team. We're gonna have 9 first basemen and nobody else at any other position.
Stop with this.
Yeah. Well, it's more than just the numbers. They're a championship team. They have been for a decade.
Well, look, they still
Well,
have
we-
some hitters. Like I said, they brought in Jason Hayward. He's hitting 292, 11 jacks, 20 stolen bases, and 456 at-bats. He's a good hitter.
Johnny Peralta's been great this year.
Please believe.
Steroids.
16 home runs, 281 batting average, 60 RBI.
It reeks like steroids.
Yes,
in
Matt
there.
Carpenter, too. At the beginning of the season, I was saying he should be an all-star, and then he slowed off before the all-star break. And since
power
then,
picked up, though.
since then, he's been killing it, man. He only has a 260 average, but he has a 360 on base and 20 home runs, 69 RBIs, and 478 bats. And then Yadier Molina, I mean, he's not a beast at the plate. He's hitting 281 with a 320 on base, 4 home runs, but he's a great catcher. So there's their 4 main guys. I mean, they have Colton Wong, too, a guy that...
I actually thought this guy was going to break out. in
Well,
the big
listen,
way
he
this
was
year.
breaking out. Before the All-Star break, man, he was hitting around 300. Most of those home runs were before the All-Star break. Most of the stolen bases were. In August, he completely fell apart. So he was playing like garbage, but they were still winning. I mean, that's what they do. They keep winning no matter what for some reason. They lose all these players. Colton Wong was playing like garbage. Now, he's picked it up a little bit recently, and I expect him to be a good player down the stretch. I really do like Colton Wong.
But this is how you win ball games, though. Okay, first of all, it's timely hitting. Even if they're not a great hitting team, they get it done when they need to get it done. And B, they just don't let anybody score.
That's
Starting
simple
from
as
the
that.
bottom, now they're here.
They're
They
not
know how
going to
to build
lose
that
if nobody
organization.
scores. You look at that.
They don't have much in the minors right now. They do have a beast starting pitcher that we'll see eventually here. But outside of
I'm
that,
not
man,
even-
Stephen Piscotty and Randall Grichuk were their best 2 remaining minor leaguers. So we'll have to see what they do in the coming years here in the minor leagues. But Alex Reyes, he's going to be a beast starting pitcher. Outside of that, we'll have to see.
Well, we already know they hack everybody's system to learn about
Yeah.
all the rookies and prospects there. But it's not even about prospects for me. The Cardinals, what I'm saying when it starts from the bottom, they're just a winning organization. You know what I mean? They have the right people. So they teach these players. And all these guys who got hurt, they're still around. I mean, they're not in the dugout per se on game day and stuff maybe. But they're still there. They're
some
still
of
with
them
some of
probably
these
are.
young guys. You know what I mean? They're helping teach these guys how to win. Just because they're not playing doesn't mean they don't want their team to get to the World Series. So it's just really, it's a great organization. It's like the Patriots. They win and they cheat.
They win and they cheat.
That's it.
That's how they do it.
I guess that is how they do it. Well, you said something about who'd they get rid of? The scouting director?
Oh,
or
yeah, the
something?
head of scouting and pretty much the whole scouting department after the whole scandal with the hacking. So, yeah, that'll be something to look at in the next couple years. Is it going to be just as good as it used to be? And without being able to hack the Astros, who have been horrible and been scouting a lot of prospects, will they be good? Who knows?
But really,
Can Tom Brady
it
play
isn't
with
about
fat
their
footballs?
hitting. You can see they have many problems on the offensive side, but it's really the reason they're winning is because of this pitching, man. Look, they're first in the NL in runs allowed with 401, and that makes them have a plus 142 run differential, and that's mostly because of pitching. Because let's face it, their offense has really struggled at moments this year. I mean, they have had their moments as well, but they've had long stretches where they struggled. And you look at this staff, I mean, obviously another guy they lost this season, Adam Wainwright, went on a deal with an Achilles injury. He only made 4 starts, and a lot of people thought they were going to drop off after that. And really, I mean, I guess they sort of did drop off because, let's face it, what was their record to start the season? Something ridiculous, like 30-4 or something.
Oh, yeah, they won 50 games faster than anybody in like the last 10 years.
Yeah, so they did fall off. But then you look, man, I mean, Michael Wacha, this is a guy I said that was going to be a beast, and he, obviously, a lot of people knew this. And he is. He has a 2.69 ERA in 25 starts. Now, he missed his last start, so we'll have to see how healthy he is or if they're just trying to give him a little bit of time off here down the stretch because he's a young guy. But if they lose him, I mean, there's another guy that goes down. They'll probably find someone to replace him somehow, though. And then Carlos Martinez, another guy. This is a guy that I wasn't as high on coming into the season. He was really a two-pitch pitcher to me, although the two pitches were great. But he really started using his changeup more this season, and it really helped him in the long term. He has a 2.91 ERA this year. He's still a young guy. So these are their two future top-end starters. And then Lance Lynn, he's somewhat young, but he's having a great season, 2.80 ERA in 25 starts. John Lackey, a guy I really don't like, but they get the most out of their players, a 2.87 ERA in 27 starts. And then another guy they were without a lot of this season, Jaime Garcia. He misses a lot of time every season, really, and they found ways to replace him when he was down with people like Tyler Lyons and Tim Cooney, and actually Marco Gonzalez, a guy we did a prospect check on, just got called up recently and made his first start, and he looked terrible actually, but I think he's an okay back end of the rotation type pitcher, and he'll be good long term. But Jaime Garcia, man, a 2.03 ERA in 14 starts. This guy has been dominating this season when healthy, and you look at this rotation from top to bottom, and you see why they let up the least amount of runs, because they're all under 3 with their ERA. It's ridiculous.
Ray Searage, who, dude, that's what I'm saying. Their pitching coach, way better.
I wouldn't say way better. I mean,
Their pitching coach
all these guys
dominates Searage.
He made him his bitch.
They both do great jobs. I mean, the Cardinals have brought in better pitchers than the back end of the Pirates rotation. All these guys are better than Morton and Locke in terms of
God
talent.
I heard you say somebody was better than Locke. I was starting to worry we were going to have to put you away.
Man, get the hell out of here with that. But look, that's not even it, man. You look at this bullpen. You got one of the best closers in baseball in Trevor Rosenthal. He has a 1.49 ERA and 42 saves. Him and Melanson are going back and forth with the most saves in baseball. But Rosenthal is...
Well, Rosenthal's going to skip games to go watch his kid give birth, so Melanson will be able to catch him.
He already did that. He's back.
No. Well, that's how Melanson's going to win.
Well, that's over with. I mean, how many does Melanson have? Do you know?
Unless he skipped the 3 games where the Pirates got swept, Melanson gained at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, it was just recently, and they've lost their past 4 games. I don't know, man.
Cares who has the best closer? It's not going to make the difference in my opinion.
Well, they're both great closers. There's no doubt about that. It's not going to make a difference at this point because they both have great closers. But if we didn't have Mark Melanson, it would definitely make a difference because Trevor Rosenthal is one of, if not the best closer in baseball this season. But then they brought in Steve Cishek at the deadline, and he was playing for the Marlins, having a terrible season. 0.64 ERA with the St. Louis Cardinals in 16 appearances. Jonathan Broxton, a guy that hasn't been very good for a few years now, a 2.08 ERA since coming over at the deadline in 14 appearances. Carlos Villanueva, 2.19 ERA in 30 appearances. Kevin Segras, 2.23 ERA in 66 appearances. Miguel Sokolovic, 1.48 ERA in 22 appearances. Here's a guy I think is a future closer in Sam Tuivelala. You
just made that up.
No, we talked about this guy earlier. Listen, he has a 1.64 ERA. He's a young guy. If they didn't have Trevor Rosenthal, I'd think this is their long-term closer. Now, he's probably their long-term setup man, but he's only made 11 appearances. This guy's going to be good one day, too, though.
So if the Pirates' bullpen's the Shark Tank, are these guys like the Alligator Lagoon? Something a little more ferocious?
They're the bird cage.
The bird cage. I don't like it. I'm not afraid of birds. I'll shoot a bird.
That's cool.
What's it going to do to me?
The pterodactyl would rip you apart.
A pterodactyl and a cardinal are completely different things. A pterodactyl's a dinosaur. It's not even a bird.
I just got it the bird cage because they're the Cardinals.
Gene splicing, man.
Nice.
Anyways, that's not even the end of it. They got Mitch Harris, who pitched well in 20 appearances, and Matt Bilal, Seth Maness, and Randy Choate are some of their main relievers, but they're not having as good of seasons as these other guys, but they're still pitching pretty well for them. So they have a ton of arms in this bullpen, really, and this is why they're winning, because all this pitching they have, and guys that don't seem to be that great, like John Lackey. I mean, Jaime Garcia, when healthy, can be good, but he's not a pitcher that pitches to a 2 ERA. I mean, they just get the most out of these guys, and maybe they're all having career type seasons as well, and that's just part of baseball though. Sometimes that happens and you got to deal with it. So I mean, this is why they're winning though. It's all about the runs they let up, that they just don't let teams score against them. Simple as that.
If the Cardinals avoid a sweep against the Pirates, what are their chances at winning the division? Like 90%?
Well, if the Pirates win 2 of 3, they'd be 5.5 back. I mean, yeah, 90%, something like that. Now, if they go out and take 2 of 3 or even sweep them, I'd pretty much start looking at the wild card if I was the Pirates. I mean, we're at that point of the season. I think there's 30 games left, so you got to start gaining ground right now. I mean, that's how baseball is, though. You stay patient for 120 games, and then you really got to start gaining ground at some point. And it comes down to this series. They started a 3-game series tonight against the Pirates, September 4th, first game at 8:15. The Pirates really got to go out there and at least take 2 of 3, or this division is most likely over. And it's not a big surprise. I mean, the St. Louis Cardinals have been a consistent team all season long, and they deserve this division if they can beat the Pirates here in this series. And I mean, if not, I mean, there's one series left, so we'll have to see. But really, the Cardinals are beginning a stretch of 26 straight division games before ending the season with 3 games at Atlanta. So they have 29 games left. The next 26 are division games, and that includes the Pirates and the Cubs. So, I mean, the division isn't over yet, but by the way the Cardinals have been playing this season, there's no reason to really worry if you're a Cardinals fan of them losing out right now.
What happens if the Cardinals beat up on the Pirates, but then the Cubs beat up on the Cardinals, and the Cubs sneak ahead of us and steal that first wild card? That would suck.
I mean, it would just mean Pittsburgh goes to Chicago. And we're going to do a segment on the Pirates and their struggles against the NL Central, and really mostly the Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, they do have a losing record versus the Cubs and the Cardinals, but they've been playing pretty even with them as well.
I don't think they've ever had a winning record against the Brewers in my 32 years on this planet. I don't know why.
But the St. Louis Cardinals, they had so many problems this season, so many people saying they were going to fall off at some point. I mean, they lost Adams, Holiday, John Jay, Randall Grichuk, Adam Wainwright, obviously Tavares before the season started. They lost all these guys. They've had guys not playing well, like Mark Reynolds and Brandon Moss. Colton Wong went a stretch here not playing well, and it doesn't seem to affect them, mostly because of this pitching, though, that is so deep that you can't, it's hard to handle.
The real key is they stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But that's it. That's all we got for you on the Cardinals. Thank God, even though I think it's funny when we talk about teams beating the Pirates. Thank you guys for coming in studio. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube. Click subscribe. Click thumbs up. If there's a middle finger, click that too.